All right, hello. So today we're going to start talking about Oauth and how to set up an Oauth application inside of Node. And it's a little bit tricky, and it's pretty straightforward though once you understand what Oauth is actually trying to do. So the basic gist of Oauth is as follows: your application acts as a verified user within an ecosystem. So what this is saying is that if I click login with Facebook on Bob's internet website, Bob's internet website can begin to act as me on Facebook. So that's a little bit confusing, but basically what we're saying here is that we're making these platforms that extend some ecosystem. So if you have an Oauth website for Google, it's presumably to extend the Google ecosystem. It's presumably giving the user extended capabilities within Google. If I were to make an Ion Oauth application, it's going to allow the person who logs into this some extended capability with Ion, maybe to sign up for 8th period activities or change the profile somehow or other. And so in order to make this work, the first step, what we're going to do is we're going to step through some videos over here. And this is not a complete web server by all the way. This is just the first in the video series. But the very first thing you have to do before you do anything else when you make an Oauth application is you have to register a new Oauth application. So whatever interface you're working with, whether it's Google or Facebook or Twitter or whatever, they're going to have some page where you can register yourself as a new application. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to call this guy Super Fun, and I am going to choose the default parameters. And what I'm going to do is I am going to get an endpoint, and I'll talk about what these things mean in a second. So every Oauth application is going to have a name. They're going to have an ID within the system. So this is my ID within Ion's system. And this is my secret. This is my password. This is the way that my application tells Ion that I am my application. Secondly, when we log in, when the user logs in on Ion, they're going to get redirected back to my site. And this is the place where they're going to get redirected back to my site. So I'm going to save this guy. And really the first step is, you don't really have to understand much of what's going on here, is we have to take these parameters and I have to bring them into my my server over here. So I'm taking these parameters, I'm adding the ID and the secret to my app over here. I'm going to restart my server. I have my redirect URI that's consistent with this thing. And let's see what actually happens over here. This thing should be running. Let me just get my log so we can take a look at the log and see what's happening as the user logs in. All right, so what's happened now is I've registered an application and I've got the basic parameters set up inside of here. So I have a simple Oauth server. The first thing that the server did is it creates a link. And this is going to be the link that users click on. I've demoed it over here, or I've logged it over here. This is the link that users click on and that it takes them to Ion to log in. So I can paste this over here. It's a big, horrible, nasty link. But if we just go to user PC Cosic, I've generated a little page and this will actually show that same link. So there's a lot of information inside of this page. So presumably the interface is going to be cleared up a little bit. But you're going to see this, it's going to say like, hey, log in using Ion. This would be a button that says log in using Ion. And so the user is going to click on this and they are going to get taken to Ion to log in themselves, to verify that they are who they are to Ion. Okay, so the first step of Oauth is to verify who the user is to Ion. So you can see my ID over here from my application. This is my server's ID. And it has my server's redirect location. It's telling where to redirect. So we're giving this information. We're telling Ion, hey, this is Paul's Super Fun page. I'm going to be asking users to log in, and once they log in, redirect back to this user login. So we click on this. Now I'm already logged into Ion, so I can click authorize, and it's going to send me back over here. But notice it sends me back to this URL with a code. I can do this in an incognito tab, so maybe you can see the workflow a little bit more, right? So if I click on here, I click on this link, it takes me to Ion. Ion says, hey, are you who you say you are over here? So if I am PC Kosek and, what's my password? And if I log into this incognito page, okay, hey, Paul, do you want to get redirected? And I'll say, yes, I'll authorize. And then we get logged back. So we get sent back with this code. And in the next video, we'll begin to talk about what this code is and how this code will be useful to getting the whole workflow up and running.